Hey guys, Argent Templar here. And no, I haven't gone crazy. You're probably wondering, why are you reviewing a shitty Keanu Reeves movie? Well, it's not the best movie of all time, admittedly, but it does make for a good movie for reactionary reviews. I remember I went to see this movie and I was actually kind of surprised. This movie is kind of glorious traditionalism given movie form. Is it a good movie? I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was that bad. I actually got really moved, especially at the ending. 47 Ronin is a big, sloppy love letter to masculinity, honor, duty, combat, and keeping your word. It is apparently based on one of the all-time great Japanese national myths, and is kind of seen as a story that embodies what Japan is about as a country, and what Bushido, or the way of the warrior, and the code of the samurai is about. So this is going to be somewhat complicated, and we're dealing with Japanese names, which will make it hard to keep track of people, but yes, we can. So the film takes place during the Tokugawa shogunate. For those of you who don't know much about Japanese history, there's a couple shogunates. There was, I think, the Fujiwara, the um, Ashikage, and the Tokugawa. The Tokugawa rose to power following Nobunaga's attempt at power. I believe they were the ones who invaded Korea, but that's not important. They were the ones who were overthrown by the Japanese emperor during the Boshin War in the late 19th century, which led to the creation of the modern empire of Japan. But anyway, so this is kind of late medieval Japan. Actually, it says that here on the summary I'm looking at. So the main character, Kai, which doesn't sound at all like Keanu, is a half Japanese, half English outcast who lives in one of the fiefdoms under the benevolent and good Lord Asano, who is kind of the embodiment of what a lord is supposed to be like. He's generous, honorable, kind, strong, a great warrior, etc. He does, however, have no heir. Um, he does, however, have a chamberlain named Oshi, which, according to Japanese custom, daimyos, or the great lords of the realm, are required to spend every other year at court as a way of minimizing their ability to build up armies. So a chamberlain is extremely important. So Kai is half English, half Japanese, a bastard born in a port city, and he is found in the woods by Lord Ashano, or Daimyo Ashano, and was adopted into the household. Despite the being a half breed and not being a samurai, it's not just white people who are racist. It's not just white people who are ethnocentric. The Japanese and Chinese are two of the most ethnocentric people on earth. Um, Both of them have words for people who aren't them. Gaijin is a derogatory term for, I believe it's derogatory at least, for non-Japanese, and foreign devil is what the Chinese call non-Chinese people. That actually, it's not just racial centric racism, because the Japanese are also Mongoloids, as are the Koreans and Mongols, obviously. But the Chinese call the Japanese and the Koreans foreign devils as well. At least I think they call Koreans. I know they call Japanese for sure. Um, but yeah, so he is not only a half breed, but he's also lowborn. He's in love with Mika, though, the daughter of the Lord Asano, and his only heir, I suppose you could say. I'm not exactly sure how inheritance works. I don't know if she can inherit or not. Anyways, so prior to the film opens with a scene where they're hunting some like mythical beast, and Kai succeeds in killing it using his super awesome magical powers that we'll go into detail later of. And Oshi, the Chamberlain, takes credit for it, although Lord Asano knows about it. So Asano is visited in preparation for a visit by the Shogun, by the Shogun's Master of Ceremonies, Lord Kira. Lord Kira is the villain of this tale, He wishes to seize the lands of Lord Asano for himself. You see, Lord Asano does not have an heir, so whoever marries his daughter will become his heir. So his rather than allow him to choose his heir or choose who marries his daughter, his plan is to kill Lord Asano, kidnap his daughter, forcibly marry her, rape her to consummate the marriage, and then add her lands into his. He is in alliance with a kitsune. A kitsune in Japanese mythology is a creature that has illusionary powers, mind control powers, that sort of thing. And is in this one she's more of a demon. So oh, sorry, this is the part. So the kitsune sends a monster to attack Asano, but Kai saves him and succeeds in killing him. Let's see here. We also see her in her fox form. So during the shogun's visit, Kai sees one of the shogun's concubines has the same two-colored eyes, which leads him to assume that she is a kitsune. He attempts to warn Oshi that she is a witch, but Oshi doesn't believe him because Oshi's kind of a dick. So Kira arranges a duel for the entertainment of the shogun. Kira's best warrior, the giant Lovecraftian samurai, who's, I think he's a soldier in an empty suit. He's like some sort of demon that possesses armor. Um, will be the warrior, will battle a warrior of Asano's choosing. Unfortunately, the witch uses her magic to incapacitate Asano's champion, so Kai secretly dons his honor and fights in his stead. His disguise is, however, revealed, and the shogun orders him severely beaten as a punishment. We see here Kai's immense loyalty to his master, who's the only person who's ever really treated him well. Well, I guess Mika treated him well, but she can't really be around him much because he's a half-breed commoner, and she is the daughter of a great lord. But he tried his best. Kai really wants to be a samurai. So later that night, the witch uses her magic to make Asano believe that Kira is raping his daughter. So he attacks an unarmed Kira in his delirium and is sentenced to death by for the crime of attacking a shogunate official, which is a crime punishable by death. However, the shogun allows Lord Asano to commit suicide through seppuku, which is where a samurai disembowels himself, which is an honorable way to die because you're not dying in the street like a criminal. It's giving you one last chance to prove how much of a man you are. And this is where we begin to see the aristocratic values in this film. Among aristocratic values is a disdain for death and a disdain for wealth, and valuing principle, honor, loyalty, and personal relationships above all things. Asano is just merely relieved that he's able to die with honor and prove to everybody his strength of will, etc. In essence, seppuku is a supreme act of will because you're literally disemboweling yourself. You're literally using all of your strength to kill yourself. It's an active form of suicide. It's not like hanging yourself or some passive form of suicide. It's a warrior's death. It's not dying of old age. It's dying with a sword in your hand. And the Japanese this is their culture. This is what kamikaze is from, and all these other things. It's to show a warrior spirit. It's to show aristocratic values. It's to show through your own death a disdain for death, a disdain for the temporal, a belief in the spiritual, the supernatural, and the eternal. It's to do that, etc. So the shogun gives Kira the domain and Mika, although he grants Mika 1 year to mourn the death of her father before marrying Kira. However, because Asano died dishonored, the shogun brands Oshi and his men Ronin and forbids them from taking vengeance for Asano's death. To ensure that the Ronin don't interfere with his takeover plans, Oshi is kept in an outdoor pit to break his spirit. So a Ronin is a samurai whose master has died. it is considered to be the greatest form of disgrace because you're not supposed to outlive your master. Or if your master dies, he's supposed to be replaced by a successor. To be a Ronin is to be disgraced. A Ronin is a samurai. Someone of the samurai class is supposed to serve. Samurais are broadly similar to knights. There's a couple differences, but it's not that important. Um, I think samurais in general didn't hold land in the same way knights did. It depends, though. But imagine a knight who has no lord he's sworn to, just kind of wandering the countryside. They're kind of like hedge knights in A Song of Ice and Fire. But no, you're not supposed to outlive your lord. You're supposed to die protecting your lord, or die for your lord, or your lord's supposed to die in battle or of natural causes, and then you serve his successor. So it's worse than executing them because they live without honor. And the Japanese are a warrior, aristocratic, traditionalist culture, and to live without honor is a fate worse than death. So, let's see here. So Oshi is released nearly a year after the pit. Released from the pit nearly a year after being captured. Oshi now knows that Kai was right, that Kira is using a witch. Oshi reunites with his family and asks his son to aid him in reuniting the scattered Ronin. They learn that Kai had been sold into slavery because he's a commoner. Wait a minute, I thought only Europeans practiced slavery. Anyways, yeah, so they go and rescue Oshi. They go and rescue Kai from a Dutch colony in let's see, where is it? Oh, it's a trading post. Okay, it's a small artificial island built in Japan. Okay, so there's a Dutch colony, and Kai makes his living, as it were, as a slave in the fighting pits. So they go and find Kai, and they say that, look, you were right. You know about this magic stuff. You have some connections to people that we don't know about. We need your help. So Kai says, okay, I will help you because I want to save Mika because I'm in love with her and because I owe Lord Asano a debt of gratitude. Also, he is hoping he can maybe find a bit of honor in it. There is a lot of bitterness, though, that he's not a samurai, despite the fact that he's trained as one and he can fight better than any of them. So they go to the people who raised Kai, which are the Tengu. He has these mystical powers that were given to him by the Tengu. Now, the Tengu are a group of monks. They are a type of kami or yokai, a type of lesser god. They kind of look like harpies. They have really long noses and they kind of look like bird people. What's interesting, though, in Eastern philosophy is all supernatural creatures are religious because everything is part of the order. Everything has balance and everything fits into the cosmic order. I forget what the Japanese expression is, Bano Tenin or whatever, all things created under heaven. So even the gods in Hinduism will worship, will pray, will meditate. There's a number of stories in Hinduism about various gods or demons spending 1,000 years meditating and then having wishes granted with the karma accumulated. So, despite being these supernatural immortal creatures with magic powers, the Tengu spend their days praying and meditating in a monastery-like setting, which I think is kind of interesting. So they go to the forest of the Tengu, and Kai faces the Tengu master, who once trained Kai in their fighting ways. Let's see here. Well, Kai confronts the Tengu master in a battle of wills. Oshi has to watch an illusion of his then being slaughtered by the Tengu. They are not allowed to draw swords while in the forest. So Oshi is being given a test of will. He has to watch his men being slaughtered and not draw his sword despite it happening. But he succeeds through his strength of will because he gave his word not to draw a sword. And to do so would be to be profaning the sacred nature of the place in the agreement or the contract that's been given to him. And to him, that is more important than the death of his men to maintain that honor, etc. So they succeed, and the Tengu are given masterwork swords, I guess you could say, by the Tengu. So armed with the new weapons, the Ronin attack Kira on his pilgrimage to a shrine where he seeks the blessings for his wedding to Mika. However, it is a trap, and many of the Ronin are killed by the witch and the Lovecraftian samurai. Yes, the description calls it the Lovecraftian samurai. That's the one that's in the suit of armor. Let's see here. The witch, thinking they are all dead, takes Oshi's sword and presents it to Kira as a trophy. The witch attempts to taunt Mika with their deaths, convincing her to commit suicide. I'm not sure if the witch wants to be the wife of Kira, and that's why she's doing it, or if she's doing it because if Mika marries Kira and dies, then there'll be no chance of revoking the grant. They'll be Kira's forever. So the surviving Ronin, of which there are 47, are rallied by Oshi and Kai. They plan to go and attack the castle of Kira in a suicide mission to try and save Mika, because that's the last thing they can really do. They can't really beat Kira or his army, but they can hopefully get in and take her out. At this point in time, they all sign a... So all the samurai collectively sign, I forget if it's their story or a contract or something, but basically it's a statement of brotherhood. And it's what they're here to do, that they're here to regain their honor, that they're going to go to their deaths to protect the innocent daughter of the Lord who they pledged themselves to. And this scene is significant because Oshi allows Kai to sign it along with them and tells him if he dies today, he dies as a samurai. So Kai is willing to face his death now, having obtained honor that he so craved. So, Oshi, Kai, and half the Ronin infiltrate Kira's castle by disguising themselves as the traveling band of wedding performers loyal to the memory of Lord Asano, there to, well, entertain during his daughter's wedding. So they go and perform and distract Kira's men with the performance. The remaining Ronin scale the walls, and once all the group reaches inside the walls, they fight with Kira's men. Oshi fights Kira in single combat, and Kai and Mika. Kai goes to save Mika because he's in love with her and because he has magical powers. So Kai is attacked by the witch, who shapeshifts into his dragon. Kai uses his Tengu sword and his superpowers to finally kill her, and Oshi succeeds in stabbing Kira and then cutting off his head, leading to Kira's men to surrender. After winning the battle, the Ronin, including Kai of course, surrender themselves to the shogun and are sentenced to death as they explicitly violated the shogun's prohibition on avenging Asano. So they realize Kira's a traitor, they realize he was a bad guy, they realize he was consorting with a witch, but the shogun's word is law. He can't just have people running around the countryside ignoring his commands, breaking the laws, etc. So the shogun deeply respects them, but much like the ending of Hero, where the king, the emperor, greatly respects the nameless hero, the shogun finds himself bound by Eastern tradition. He has to uphold the law. He has to uphold his degree, because as the king of an Eastern country, he is in essence a god. And in Oriental despotism, a god cannot be wrong. A god must uphold his values. The shogun finds, though, that they followed the principle of Bushido in their actions, and therefore they restore their honor as samurai. So instead of being executed as criminals, they are allowed to perform seppuku. So they die with their honor intact as loyal servants to their master, and their names will be remembered for all time as good and honorable men who did great deeds. And what really is kind of almost a beautiful scene is the samurai are overjoyed by this. They're going to die. They aren't being rewarded in the sense that we would understand it for committing their for saving them. They aren't getting a redemption. They aren't getting pardoned. They aren't getting being allowed to walk away. But they don't care because the samurai are a class of aristocratic warriors, and aristocratic values include a disdain for death. They have proved by going into a suicidal situation in pursuit of honor, and willingly those who died sacrificing their lives to serve their lord and to fulfill Bushido and to fulfill their spiritual duty, they have proven themselves to be aristocrats. And they can face their deaths now knowing that they are worthy of it. And they can face it like men. Because ultimately, this is what the story's about. It's about honor and masculinity. It's not about life. It's not about survival. It's about the truth that all men must die, as George R. R. Martin would say. All men must die. What matters is whether or not you die with honor. What matters is whether or not you serve. And that is the code of the samurai, to serve and to be an aristocrat and to follow your honor above all things. And that is what's necessary for society to function, and for heaven to function, and for the entire social order of the universe to function, as everything must be in its proper place. Everyone must follow their assigned role. So, they're allowed to perform seppuku and are given the honor of burial with their master, so they may guard him for all time. The shogun gives the lands that belong to Asano back to Mika, and at the seppuku ceremony, he pardons Oshi's son so that he may serve the land and preserve Oshi's bloodline for the country, which is just about the most traditionalist thing I've ever heard of. So he says, "Your father is this great warrior who did this supremely honorable thing. I cannot deprive Japan of this blood, of this potent blood that gave birth not to just one warrior, but two great warriors and a generations of great warriors. This DNA, this seed must be preserved and given to future generations. So I'm only willing to overlook my condemnation of your family and for the breaking of my law to preserve this bloodline for the greater good, so that you may perpetuate yourself and continue on this superior line." So I thought that was very interesting. So the close. So there's kind of a scene in which Mika and Kai share a final moment, and Mika states that death is not the end, and that someday their souls will be reunited in some other realm, and their lives can be there. So Kai dies, I think he has a smile on his face, despite not being able to be with Mika. Even if he had have lived, he wouldn't have been able to be with her just because of social issues. But he's able to die with his honor intact. He's able to die as a samurai, to die a man's death, and that's really all he ever wanted. And that's really all of us can ever ask for. So the film ends on a sad, but in my view, kind of beautiful note. I know the movie isn't great, but the scene where all the samurai just commit suicide and are grateful for the chance because they place their honor above all else. To me, that is strength. Strength is the ability to have a culture that will lead 47 men to cut their guts open out of honor. Strength is the willingness of these men to face impossible odds, to prove a moral point, and to save an innocent woman. This movie is kind of, to a large extent, kind of what the patriarchy is all about, what masculinity is all about. It's about protecting, it's about using your strength for good, it's about keeping your word, it's about being honorable. It's not about seizing things, it's not about just taking and conquering and being conniving, because that's what Kira did, and that's why he's evil. And it also maintains that the soul is eternal, that what we do in this life echoes in eternity, as Gladiator states, and that because of his service, Keanu Reeves will eventually be with his love, because love is eternal. So I thought this was a good movie. It's obviously has some severe problems, but I like the message. I thought it was rather powerful despite its many flaws, maybe from a narrative standpoint. That was a reactionary review of 47 Ronin. This is Argent Templar signing out.